All right, guys, welcome back to Entrepreneurship 101 Part 3. Today we have David Curry from Ventice Technology with us. So for everybody, you can welcome him via text, via comment, whatever works. For everybody who's on Instagram, feel free to send us in any type of questions you have as it relates to technology and starting your company. Before we get started today, last week we talked about how to vet your ideas. We got a number of you all who actually got in touch with us about the vetting process, what to do. A couple questions afterwards that came in through DMs. I hope I answered everyone's question. If you do have a question about the vetting process, don't send that into this particular lesson today. Just DM us. If you're on Instagram, please just send us an email or send us a private message just letting us know what the question is as it relates to that. Today, we want to focus our questions with David Curry of Ventice Technology. And we're going to talk about the 3 mistakes that entrepreneurs make early on in their development of their business. We're going to look at the website, customer management, and infrastructure. And again, I take a moment to say you guys have been fantastic. This is our 3rd one. In the first video, everyone who wasn't there, because it wasn't a lot of people, we had 23 views. The last one we did, we're slightly over 600 views now after 7 days. And that's because so many people sent out the shares, they liked this, comments came in from everywhere. So we hope that you guys can do it again today. We really appreciate it. We hope the information we're providing makes you and your business better. So, introduce Dave and let him tell you about Ventice Technology and what the company does before we go into the lesson.
Okay, thanks. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Appreciate it.
I'm David Curry from Ventice Technologies. We empower businesses by aligning their technology with strategic goals. And we do this in 3 ways. 1, through software development services, also through CTO advisory, and then the last being through cybersecurity. We work with medium-sized businesses as well as startups in these areas.
Okay, and full disclosure, Ventice Technology is actually the company that manages our technology portfolio. So whenever we have issues or concerns for ourselves or for clients that we're consulting, we use Ventice Technology. Mm-hmm. So we thought that the information he shared with us was great, so we wanted to share it with you guys.
Definitely.
So Dave, let's jump into it. We're talking about websites.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of us, we're starting our websites, we're thinking like website is technology. So, what could be your mistake about starting a website? What is it that, in regards to the features and the goals and how to match them up, mm-hmm. Where does the mistake lie in that?
Yeah, so there's so many areas that we could talk about, but just drilling down on ensuring that the features of the website matches your goals. You want to take a broad look at the goals of your organization and be sure that you have identified those. What are you trying to accomplish, say, in the next 6 months or the next 3 months? And then how can your website help facilitate those goals? So a prime example could be maybe you want to increase the number of potential customers in a month. So you want to increase the number of leads coming through. And then you can ask yourself, well, how can my website support this? And then you can start drilling down on what are some of the options you have to make that happen through the website.
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of us, like we did, we have a question like when we're looking at goal setting, number 1, you have to know what you're trying to accomplish with your company. Mm-hmm. When you're developing, it goes back to the vetting process. Who have you spoken to? What did they tell you about the idea? Does it work? And after you've now vetted it, it works. You're laying out your goals to accomplish what the mission of the company may be. Those goals, really, especially developing a website, you can waste a lot of money and time trying to do it yourself, mm-hmm. trying to save a buck because you think, oh, we don't want to go with a consultant or somebody who understands technology. But it really can help you save money. And do you have any examples of maybe a time where you worked with a client, and feel free to put me on blast. It happened to us where you spent, I'm almost embarrassed to say, months, in some cases years, trying to get somebody to use the right technology until they figured out they really should use the right technology.
Yeah, I don't have to give specifics, but ultimately, just generally thinking about it, especially if you're starting a new website, you really want to make sure that you think long term, because you could pick a platform, or maybe you have a developer or somebody you're working with. You communicate what you want done.
And I'll ask you say picking a platform for a lot of people, watching this and trying to think, okay, I want to get a website. That's the first start of technology integration. Like, how do you choose a platform?
Right. And so when we talk about features matching goals, the reason I like to start there is because it takes technology out of the conversation for a second. Some people go into it saying, well, I've heard about WordPress, or I've heard about whatever is out there, and I want my site built on that, but they don't think about the things that they need to incorporate, which may dictate the platform or the technology you use. So that's why it's important to think about your business goals and then say, well, what technologies can be used to help me achieve these business goals? So that's the first part. And then the second part would be to also think long term, because if you know you want to sell products in the future, but you're not going to start with that, you don't want to have a solution created where you don't have e-commerce capabilities. Otherwise, you're going to have to scrap it all and have it redone in the future, or choose a different service to support what you want to do in the future.
Okay, so I know one of the hot things is WordPress, which you just mentioned.
Yeah.
A lot of people out there have always, you heard, I'm going to get a website, I'm going to go to WordPress. Mm-hmm. Is that really the only platform that exists for, integration of technology?
No. So WordPress is nice because it gives you a lot of flexibility. It allows you to add on features in the future if you don't have them built right away.
And that'd be the integration piece.
Yeah, it has flexibility for integration. But it's not the only platform, and it's not by far the best platform for everybody.
Okay.
So it's a good start depending on what you need, but it's not necessarily the best platform given what you may want to try to accomplish.
So from what you're saying, it seems like, as we build, we should be thinking about not only the features that we want to have, the goals that we have in place, and making sure the technology will support those goals or make sure they're accomplished. Mm-hmm. But we want to look at our personalities from what you're saying, because it's not every platform fits the personality of also the business owner.
Exactly, and that's why you want to be sure to hire somebody that's has a lot of technical know-how, but also understands business, because they should be talking to you in terms of your business, not just coming in trying to sell you a technology. I think that's how people get caught up. You have a lot of people that are tied to specific technologies. That's what they're skilled at, so that's what they sell, right. But they don't look at the business aspect of it.
Okay, so for everybody watching, at the end of this, we're actually going to do a quick little recap. But in that recap, we're going to talk about what you should do to bring in or to interview advisor, a technology advisor.
Yeah.
So let's go down to customer management, making decisions by looking at the data instead of simply having thoughts. Guys, I'll tell you for myself, especially when starting out in business, one of the things, especially on Instagram, you guys move fast. Facebook, you're a little more conservative. So, one of the things I did is I always wanted to start and run the company the way I thought was best. Mm-hmm. I didn't look at my goals to really allow myself to believe that the technology dictated what I did. And so, now that I have a company and it's doing well, looking at the data to make decisions is key. But again, I'm going to let Dave expand on it. There's so many avenues and so many people out there who claim to be experts on, understanding data and, metrics. Mm-hmm. What does that really, what does this even mean to make a data-driven decision?
Yeah, so this actually comes from large corporations. And the reason I wanted to discuss it today is because we live in an age where data is sort of the new commodity. There's a statistic about like 90% of the world's data was just produced in the last 2 years. So data is extremely important. And even if you don't know why you need it, if you start to put it in place in the beginning, it can help you, it can benefit you over time. So with customer management, for instance, if you track your customers, like, let me give you an example. So maybe you want to track how long it takes from the moment you get a lead to the moment you make the actual sale. And you could track metrics in between that as well. But just imagine if you did that over 6 months to a year, then you can start to look at those metrics to see, well, I noticed that it takes a long time to like onboard the person, or I noticed that, in this part of my process, like it's hard to get the customer involved and they're sort of disinterested. But what data can do is it can give you insights to your process, see where you may be able to improve it for efficiency. And this goes across the board with your business, but I just wanted to start with customer management because, everybody, if you have a business, you have customers. And if you can improve the customer experience and your processes behind onboarding the customer and taking them through your products or your services, then that's a win for you and the customer.
Okay, so guys, this is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I'm getting from it.
Okay.
Using the customer management as like the platform of what we're looking at as relates to technology, the mistake actually comes in when people don't use data to make decisions and they just go out willy-nilly and just decide on what they think is right. And you're saying that if they put in a process or put in a software or some type of technology allows them to track metrics, they can then use this metrics to develop trends in the company, create benchmarks, and improve efficiency.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So data, guys, we all know data. We're producing data right now, but it's so much of it. Like this is vast amounts of data. How do you know really what to track versus what to ignore?
Yeah, and that's kind of part of your own journey. It's all about starting somewhere, and then from there you can take a look at what you have. And generally, what happens is whatever you pick to track and you start to track it and you look at it monthly or bi-monthly, you'll start to ask yourself new questions. And then from those new questions, you'll say, oh, well, like maybe I should track this over here as well. Like it can help supplement the data I have and answer other questions for me.
Okay, so when you say customer management and looking at the data, are we solely doing it to streamline the process that we have for our engagement with them? Or are you also talking about using maybe technology with the customer management piece to do polling to decide, is the business doing actually what the client base wants? Are you using it for that too, or is it?
Yeah, I think so. That's sort of a tiered approach. The first would be you have some sort of system that manages the customer process and experience.
Okay.
And hopefully there's some sort of metrics tracking in that. And then from there, you can begin to put together polls or surveys to help supplement that information, or like give more insight to that information.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch markers for you guys for this. Let's switch up.
Okay.
All right, so you're saying first to do what?
Okay, so the first part would be to have a system in place to manage customers. And when I say customers, I do mean the actual customers as well as the process the customers are going through.
Okay.
And then from there, you want a system to also, this actually is kind of part of one, but you want a system that also can allow some sort of metrics to the process.
All right.
And that's sort of the data insight. And when I say system, I mean the system itself can be one technology, it can be multiple technologies, it can be sort of an integration of technologies, but these are the components that you want to have in place.
All right, and then what do we do with, I guess, the metrics?
So from here, just think of it like reporting. You want to be able to create some sort of report on the data from the metrics. So in terms of customer management, maybe with one of your products or services, you notice that every time you get to a certain point in the process of selling, people drop off.
Okay.
And you get that by looking at your metrics. You say, oh, well, like 60% of the folks are never getting past this part. Now maybe I can create a survey or try to reach out to folks to see what part of that process broke down and determine why that is.
Okay, so guys, if you don't have a system in place, I mean, I can see where it makes sense. The company did it for us, so I know some of these things already. But a lot of you guys are starting now. I know this will be important because once you have the system, you can actually edit the system. If there is no system, what are you editing? How are you getting better? You have to have processes to help you, improve your business. So, I mean, that goes back to improving efficiencies, what Dave mentioned earlier. Everyone that's watching, I hope this is something that's key to, I'm glad you told us about this process, because this is something you can take back to wherever it is you're working, whatever it is you're doing, and implement sooner than later. And if you need someone to help with the development of what that looks like, I mean, again, shameless plug, talk to Ventice Technologies, they can assist.
Yeah, and one thing I just like to mention, a lot of folks might think that, I'm just starting out, this is way too much, like, well, why, I need to do other things. But you want to keep this at the forefront of your planning, because over time, you like I said, if you track this stuff, you get more and more data. And the benefit of having this and having this process in place is it separates you from your competition. If you have insight to your customers and your process and where it breaks down, I can guarantee a lot of your competition won't have that. So it helps to kind of be a differentiator between you and your competition. I may have said customers, but I meant competition.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Probably we all had. Is this very difficult to do?
No, it's not difficult to do. I mean, it's all about talking to someone who can lay out the options for you and then determine which option is the best, or options may be the best for your particular situation. So again, when we talk about a system to manage customers, typically this would be some sort of software solution. And then the metrics, it could be part of the solution or it could be something that's integrated.
Okay. So I'm a new entrepreneur. Because this is Entrepreneurship 101 Part 3. My question is you come in, you consult. Is this a plug and play thing? Like once it's plugged in, are we now ready to go through this process, or is it like we have to stay in contact with you every time we want to run a report?
No, it is plug and play, but again, there's a little bit of analysis up front just to make sure that we choose the right situation for what you want to achieve, and it's scalable so that as you grow, you can create more metrics and understand, like, you ask new questions, you want to be able to get insight out of the data.
Okay. And guys, I just want to let you know, like, if you're looking at metrics, it's extremely important to use, because metrics is going to be the thing that make you more intelligent when you go to speak to potential partners, investors. And if we're talking about Entrepreneurship 101 Part 3, you may still be looking for funding. You may be trying to do a crowdfunding approach, or it's a lot of ways you can go for funding. But basically, once you start talking to possible investors, they want to know what the metrics are. And even early on, you can have early stage metrics that they tell a story.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then whatever your differentiator is in the market, maybe you provide better customer service than your competitors. If customer service is like the key value component to your business, that's something you want to put metrics behind too, because it's like, we value customer service, and I can prove why our customer service is the best. So we're using customer management and process of customers as an example, but tying data and data insight to whatever your value component is important.
Got it. All right, so again, just something to think about. If you have questions, feel free to DM us. Let's move on to infrastructure. Infrastructure, I mean, we all know how important infrastructure is. Like, how are we setting up our companies? What are the legs underneath it to, keep it up and running? So we're going to talk about today having systems that support the company functions. I'll just let you take it from here.
Yeah, and the customer management, the metrics and data and all that, it feeds into infrastructure. But I just want to talk about infrastructure overall right now. If you're, a new entrepreneur and you're starting out, you're solo, you're going to need email. You're going to need to know how, some sort of database to put your customers in.
Mm-hmm.
How am I collecting payments? And that should be online. You want different processes to be as frictionless as possible. And all these play into infrastructure. You don't want to start your new business without thinking partners or maybe incorporate other people into the business. How are you guys going to work together on different projects? How do you communicate information? How do you share documents? So infrastructure is basically like overall, what are the systems you have in place to enable yourself to do business?
So you're saying that, I guess, with the technology we put in place, is they should talk to each other.
They should talk to each other, and they should also be flexible, because if you're investing in something, you want it to be able to scale. So as you grow, the hope is that the technology will be able to support your needs to a point anyway.
Yeah. Guys, agility is hugely important. Just from an entrepreneurial standpoint, whenever we structure our companies, especially in the beginning, it's going to change. Mm-hmm. As much as we want to believe, I have this perfect idea, I just need to get it to the market. Once you get to the market will dictate whether you are right or if you are wrong. The market will also dictate whether you need to make a couple of changes, a couple alterations, and rethink what you're doing and how you're doing it. Agility. I mean, for me, infrastructure plays heavily into your agility. And if you look at what you might do and you just are realistic in the fact that it may change, you can be more agile as you build, and you can put these systems in place to be as agile as your business and your mindset is. So you really, I think this is hugely important, as I think all of this is important. And I mean, from a step back approach, and you just look at this whole thing, you want to look at your website. How's your website? What are the features? The features, not your goals. That means that you have to have goals. So when you're starting your company, make sure you have goals. And that goes back to what we talked about last week. Are you vetting everything? Mm-hmm. Because you can't just go out and go, I'm going to get this technology. For what?
Yeah.
What's the reason? So you have to have a reason why you're getting it. Customer management. You can't have a business if you don't have customers. So you either have a product or a service. So you have to figure out which one it is, because that affects the type of technology you have. And then the infrastructure. Infrastructures, all of these are subsets of each other, because what is your infrastructure supporting? And if you don't know who your customers are, you definitely don't know what type of website you need. Mm-hmm. So that means you probably don't know even how to build out your company, which means you probably never vetted the idea.
Yeah.
So all of this plays into each other, and I hope you guys are, spending some time, maybe revisiting these lessons, thinking about how it's applicable to you and your business, and seeing where the fractures are, and making sure you make your infrastructure as strong as possible. I know Ventice, they did a great job for us when we looked at, what type of technology we want to put in place. And you don't always agree with your advisors, and that's why you need to also match an advisor to your personality, which is going to lead me into one of our kind of closing pieces, unless you guys have any other questions. How do we choose a technology advisor when we're still trying to figure out on our own?
Yeah, so this is one of the reasons why I offer services to small businesses as well, is because in corporate America, or large businesses, they have the resources for IT departments, management, who've been, they know all this stuff. But when we come to small businesses, we have marketing advisors, we have sales advisors, we have financial advisors, but we don't have technology advisors. Not from the standpoint of marrying business with technology. So it can be difficult to find. You have to have a little insight. If you have a little insight into your business in terms of the goals, in terms of where you want to go, you can talk to different technology folks and get insight from them and try to piece it together. But ultimately, I will admit, it is a little hard to find somebody who has business and technology skill sets.
No, I agree. I mean, it's not something that a lot of people do. It's like you either do one or the other. So yeah. You having a business background, do you want to touch on other points? Yeah. So one of the services I offer is CTO advisory. CTO stands for Chief Technology Officer.
And what we do is we sit and we talk with small businesses about what they want to achieve in their business and how can technology best can be used to enable their goals. So there is that service, and I do have a special for anybody who's watching this. We can link it into the notes.
So after this, we're gonna put comments up in our comments section. You will get Dave's Facebook, YouTube channel, and additionally, you'll get direct contact if you want to shoot him an email. So, we want to thank you for coming out.
Sure, yeah.
Guys, if you found the information useful, we hope that you continue to share it. You did a great job last week sharing it. Let's see if we could beat, we're at 602 views for last week. Let's see if we can beat that. Share it with everybody you can. And I hope it was good information. So, we'll see you guys later.
Thanks again for having me.
All right.